Hello, hello. Good afternoon, Anna. Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon. It's already afternoon, right?
It is. It's going to get dark in like 3 hours or so. It's hard to get used to, but still, I suppose the beauty of the contrasts of having a climate weather like we do here in Poland is that you actually appreciate spring. And some of us like it simply when there's a lot of snow, like today.
If you're not allergic.
So even though we're not British,
snow.
even though we're not British, we've started with a weather conversation, so that part is behind us. Basia has just said that the topic of ERG, as such, one of the most popular acronyms these days, along DEI, of course, is it's something very close to her heart. I would very gladly ask you, Basia, about what your reasons are, but I'll give you time to think about it. Anna, if we were to really address the question of the two things, ERG and effectiveness, when you think about those two together, what are the first things that come to your mind? When is ERG effective in any particular context?
Well, you see, there are some basic and golden rules, which are not many, but still they are super valid and vital. So firstly, the ERGs need to understand the strategy of the environment where they are, which is the organization. But then they have to marry that with the local flavor, the feel of what is needed locally. And of course, I'm talking about about this in the context of a large organization, like global ones, right? So one size does not fit all, right? So that's the basics. Then the ERGs really need to be dynamic. They need to be focused. They need to be independent within, of course, the strategy and the mandate, open-minded, connecting the dots. And I hope I will prove that to you later on, what I said, what I have in mind. And also they need to have the management support. So this is super valid. And if all that gets together, then it should work nicely.
How about the things that support building effective ERGs and those perhaps that block, intentionally or not, but these categories are quite clear?
If you don't mind, I will start with enablers. So what actually does not block, right?
Glass half full
And
mindset.
then, right. So first, I suppose that what is the enabler is the culture and the walk the talk and the trust. So when we in the organization, we understand what we need to deliver, what we want to achieve, then we can support the ERGs in a clear, easy way. So firstly, we can create the environment by the governance of the ERGs. And it might sound a bit administrative, but it's not. So the governance of the leaders, the sponsors, the way how we communicate is very, very helpful. Now, the management support, which I already mentioned, is vital as well. So this is the walk the talk, the management board, for example, which does not really see ERGs and D&I as a part of maybe some fashion. It's a part of life. To give you the example of the organization which I represent, UBS, we're in the banking industry, in the financial industry. So for us, the knowledge is the base of the business, but the knowledge comes from people. So the people are the base. So if the people, then diversity, right? Each of us is a bit different. Each of us requires some specific attention, right? So the management, if the management understands that, that is yet another very, very valid enabler. But then of course, the budget. we need money, right? Of course, everything costs, and based on our knowledge, sharing the ideas, great. But the money is also important. I know maybe it's not, the area that we would like to focus on, but this is one of the enablers. Having a budget, having understanding what we can afford, or how we can support ourselves with, for example, super expert, who could support us with
And
specific
it's,
topics, right?
if I may, Anna, it's also about credibility, intent, isn't it? Because the moment you dedicate specific resources to your initiatives,
Absolutely.
it also shows, it sends a signal to the organization that you actually care.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Actually, that's the part of the governance of the setup we are really serious about it, right? And then, of course, it comes with the people themselves, the involvement of the people. So the people are independent, they are open-minded. They look into the cross topics. So, for example, they are not sticking to the silos of, let's say, let's say gender, then ability, then something else, right? People understand that these topics cross each other, right? So they collaborate. So ERGs need to collaborate, right? They cannot live in their silos.
Yeah.
And of course, they need to manage their own tasks on a daily basis, the business. And I would say that the ERGs need to support each other. To give you an example, for example, we have this newsletter that we share on the monthly basis, and guess what? The newsletters are made by ERGs, so we have a rotation, so they create the newsletter on a monthly basis. What happens is that they support each other, and they actually upskill with yet another skill that may not be very much associated with
Your
ERG,
core
but
activities
what
as
they
well.
do.
Yeah.
Exactly. But what they do is something broader than specific topics. So
Anna,
that's super important.
If I may, a couple of new concepts, new for some of our audience members who may not be exactly familiar with how ERGs work from the beginning to when they become really successful already and build some identity within a company. You mentioned two concepts, ERG sponsors, ERG leaders. So to describe an ideal ERG leader behavior would be one question for me. How do you recognize the right mindset, the right procedural approach also? And the other thing, ERG sponsor versus ERG leader, what are the ideal interactions? I'm going to give you like half a minute or so to think about it and come back to Basia for a while, because Basia started this segment by saying, and I could really see her in her body language, that she feels passionately about ERGs. So my question would be why?
First of all, I'm passionate about people and creating healthy environment for people to spark.
But you don't need formalized structure to to indulge your passion for people.
You would think. And it's pretty much coming back to Anna's point. Structure creates healthy dynamics and unlocks or blocks the potential. That's at least my experience. So yes, you don't need structure, you don't need procedure and rules for people to
love people.
To love people, to engage, to activate different layers of organization. But you come to the point that enthusiasm and passion isn't enough. So these people need to feel they're invested in. They need some other forms of empowerment.
And that's key. So what you're saying is translating passion to actionable ideas.
Absolutely.
Rather than just thinking positively about something.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Back to you, Anna.
So you ask about the sponsors and leaders, what is the difference, or maybe how they collaborate. So
Yes.
let's work or focus on how they collaborate. The two are very important personas, right? So they collaborate with each other, but of course their roles are different. So starting with sponsor, from my observation, experience, and belief, the sponsor is a senior in terms of, I would say, experience. It can be rank, of course, but especially experienced person who is a person who is always there, right? For the ERG, for the leader, who is bringing a broader picture to the discussions, decisions, and agenda or agendas, right? And who is able to look at the ideas, activities from maybe, you know, like a kind of a seen broader perspective, right? To see and to ask why, and why, right? So to challenge. So that is the person who is the balance of the activities, ideas, and dynamics. Whereas the leader, or equally to the sponsor of the, you know, of focusing on, but the leader is the door, or maybe someone who is pushing the network to do, inspiring, giving a vibe, activating, advertising, even selling. Of course, the leader may not be the one person, it can be two. And of course, the leader has a team, right? But that's the difference. So far, I see fantastic sponsors and leaders. They collaborate very well. And I must say that I've never experienced kind of a problem between them, or um, or, or or difference of opinions.
Can we
Unless,
clarify a little? Just one more thing, because the way you describe it, it implies that the communication primarily goes between the sponsor and leader, and the leader talks to the team itself. But I would imagine these three cross one another's paths from time to time, like the sponsor interacting directly with the team and the leader, or not?
So maybe that's my mistake of kind of picturing this. Absolutely not. This is a close collaboration with the team. So the sponsor is with the team, with the leader. It may not be with them every day, every week.
Sure.
Nevertheless, they collaborate. It's not a persona who is somewhere there.
Fair enough.
That a leader reaches out to. Absolutely not. That's a collaboration.
But having said that, in the sponsor role, you need to be someone who commands authority, has decision-making powers, I would imagine, and also authority in the, not in the procedural or decision-making sense, but authority in the personality and intelligence, perhaps, sense.
The latter.
Yeah.
The latter.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say about the decisions that the sponsor makes decisions, right? Supports the decisions, but the
intellectual authority.
Of absolutely. That's the right setup.
10 seconds, Anna, and one quick question: how do you measure effective ERGs? If you could give it to us in points.
It's a very bad question. The ERG, so DNI.
Thank you.
It's not
I
about
appreciate
the
compliment.
It's not about the measurement, but of course, we need to understand whether we are following the right path, right? So that is about the ERG's strategy, which they set up for a specific period of time, and they respond to. Of course, we can create strategic or aspirational goals, for example. I would not really look at the KPIs. Nevertheless, I would say that the change of the society, of, you know, like an organization, the changes in the, for example, life of an organization that are influenced by the need of us employees through that is the measurement of the impact of the ERGs. And I can give you some examples if you want.
I wish we had more time for that. Anna, I need to finish here, I'm afraid. But what I will say is, since your approach to ERGs is really so compelling and interesting in so many ways, as if you were really passionate about different options all around it and explored different alleys and routes, maybe, again, you could share with us, through whatever channel you find useful or practical, your best practices, something that people, members of our audience who who are not so familiar with the risks and traps and opportunities hidden in the entire ERG conversation. So feel free to paste links, reports, studies, whatever it is that you feel people who start on the journey could learn from.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. It's been an
so much.
absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.